Birth parents abandoned me as a baby 29 years ago. Now they want back into my life and are emotionally blackmailing me, saying I owe them a relationship. I, 29M, was adopted as an infant. My parents already had my older brother, who was 3 at the time, and 3 years later, they adopted my sister. Growing up, I always felt secure, loved, and part of a family where no one was favored for being blood. My parents never made a big deal about biology, and they were always open about the adoption process. They never demonized our birth families, even though they knew almost nothing about them. For me, life was just perfect. I never questioned who I was or where I came from. I never felt anything missing. Maybe that's unusual. Maybe that's just me. But as far as I was concerned, I had everything. Loving parents, 2 amazing siblings, a great wife, 2 kids I adore, and an extended family who supported and loved me unconditionally. There was nothing lacking in my life. Then, about 6 months ago, my phone buzzed with messages from people claiming to be my birth parents. At first, I ignored them. I was skeptical, but then I confirmed. Yes, they were real. They knew about me, and they wanted to meet me. I sat there staring at my phone, heart racing. I had always imagined that if this day ever came, it would be an emotional, deeply meaningful moment. But here it was, and my gut reaction was nothing. Not excitement, not curiosity, not longing. Just an overwhelming sense of, I already have a life. I don't need this. They explained their story. They were teenagers when I was born, 16. They broke up shortly after and didn't think about me again for years. Eventually, they got back together, had more children, and only in the last 2 years did they begin reaching out. Their children, I learned, really wanted to meet me. They were curious. They were excited. They wanted a sibling. I read their emails, their pleas, their heartwarming stories about how they had discovered me and what my birth meant to them. And I felt nothing. I wanted to respect them, of course, but I couldn't summon the emotional connection they were hoping for. My life, the one I had carefully built and cherished, didn't include them. So it took me weeks, 11, to be precise, to reply. When I finally did, I wrote a simple, polite message. I have a wonderful life. I'm happy. I appreciate their reaching out, but I do not wish to connect. Please leave me be. Then, the harassment began, in the most polite, persistent way possible. 3 weeks after I blocked their accounts and made my social media private, I received an email. They said it wasn't fair, that I should at least meet their children, that it would be wrong of me to deny them. I didn't respond. 2 months after that first email came another, more insistent, more structured. They wanted to share family medical history with me, but only if I agreed to meet them and let them spend some time getting to know me. Then came the emails from their children. Oh, the children. Messages piled up in my inbox, pleading, reasoning, guilt-tripping. You should really consider why you don't want to meet your real family. Why are you so loyal to parents who bought you? I froze, reading the words. Bought me. The idea made my stomach twist. My parents didn't buy me. They chose me. They loved me fiercely, raised me with kindness, and gave me a life I could never have imagined. The thought that someone could reduce my family, my life, to a transaction made me angry. And yet, here they were, insisting I owed them something I didn't feel. I started reflecting on the circumstances of my adoption. My birth parents were 16. They didn't leave letters. They didn't give family medical histories. They didn't ask to read the letters my parents wrote. They never expressed curiosity about me until much later. They put me up for adoption through an agency, and even then, they didn't choose my parents. And yet now, they were sending me emotional appeals, guilt-laden messages, demanding a connection, demanding acknowledgement, demanding my time and attention. I went to my parents. I needed advice, reassurance, someone to validate the way I felt. Mom, Dad, I said, I don't know if I'm wrong to ignore them. I've blocked them, but they're sending more emails, more messages. I don't feel like I owe them anything. My mom's eyes softened. Sweetheart, you owe them nothing. You were given a life? Yes, but your parents are the people who raised you. They nurtured you. You don't have to meet anyone you don't want to meet. My dad nodded. You decide your boundaries. That's what matters. You have a family that loves you. That is enough. I felt a surge of relief, but the nagging feeling remained. Some people, especially adoptees online, called me selfish. They said I should embrace my birth family, that I was denying my children's blood relatives. that I was turning away people who wanted to know me. But I asked myself, do I want that connection? Not really. Would it enhance my life? Absolutely not. It might even endanger the stability I've spent decades building. Still, every notification that could possibly be them sent shivers down my spine. Every knock at the door, every unknown email, every attempt to reach out reminded me that this is not over, that they are persistent, that they want something I don't have to give. The emails didn't stop. At first, they were polite, measured, almost cautiously hopeful. But over the weeks, they shifted. They became longer, more insistent, sometimes almost pleading, sometimes guilt-laden. I read them over and over, feeling the weight of expectation pressing down on me like a physical force. You've been given a life, yes, one of the children wrote, but it's not fair that you've never even considered knowing us. Do you realize what it feels like to find out you have a sibling and they refuse to even meet you? Another said, we've wanted this for years. It's not just about you. We're curious. We're longing for connection. Why are you denying us? I stared at my screen, hands shaking. Longing for connection? I already have a connection. Deep, real, grounded connection. My wife, my kids, my siblings, my parents, that's my family. That's real life. I wanted to type a response, something sharp and final. I don't owe you anything. Leave me alone. But then another email arrived, gentler, almost coaxing. We just want to meet. You don't have to commit to anything. Just meet us once and see how you feel. I felt my chest tighten. One meeting, they said. One meeting. And if I said no, they'd send more emails. They'd send messages from their children. Maybe even get a private investigator to contact me again. The sense of inevitability was suffocating. I started questioning myself. Was I wrong? Was I being cruel? These were people I had never met. Yes, but they were my blood. My siblings, in a sense. And yet, my heart screamed, I have all I need. My life is full. I do not need them. I began thinking about the future. Suppose I agreed to a meeting, just one. Would it spiral? Would it start small, and then become this enormous obligation I didn't want? Would they try to insert themselves into my life, to meet my wife, my kids, to become a part of a world I had already carefully built? I pictured my wife's face. My children are playing in the living room. My parents are smiling at a family dinner. And I realized, no, not one bit of me wanted to risk destabilizing that world. But every email, every message, was like a finger poking at a bruise I didn't even know I had. They appealed to guilt, to curiosity, to loyalty. They argued that I was loyal to people who bought me, a phrase that burned like acid. Bought me? My parents didn't buy me. They raised me. They loved me. I owe them everything. And yet somehow, in their eyes, loyalty to the people who actually raised me was a flaw. I found myself reading and rereading the emails, sometimes late at night, when the house was quiet and my mind wandered. I felt cornered, harried, attacked from every angle. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell them everything they wanted to hear, that I would meet them, that I cared, that I was interested, just to get them off my back. But I couldn't. I wouldn't. And so I did the only thing I could think of. I blocked them. Again. Every account, every social media handle, every email address I could find. I made my profiles private. I tried to breathe, to sleep, to return to my life. Yet I knew it was temporary. Even if I blocked them today, there would always be another attempt. Another message, another contact, another plea from their children. And every time, I would feel that same suffocating weight. That same sense of being trapped in someone else's narrative, forced to justify my life choices to people who had never been part of my life. I wanted to tell myself, it's okay. You don't owe them anything. But deep down, a small voice whispered, what if I'm missing something? Weeks passed. I tried to return to normalcy. Work, family, friends. But the emails from my birth family lingered in my mind like a shadow I couldn't shake. I knew they were persistent. I knew they were reaching out not just to me, but through my social circles, their children sending indirect messages, anyone who might convince me to give them a chance. Then one morning, I received a long, meticulously written email from one of their children. The subject line alone made my stomach churn. Please, think of your blood. Think of your future children. We just want you to understand that this isn't just about you. Your kids have blood relatives. They have an entire extended family that they will never know if you continue to ignore us. We only ask for a meeting. You owe it to yourself and to them. I read the words over and over. Owe it to them. Owe it to my kids' potential cousins? The guilt gnawed at me. It made my chest tighten. I could almost hear my parents' voices saying, "But you already have a family. They're your family. You don't need anyone else." I tried to reason with myself. I wrote a draft email, over and over, trying to find words that could convey my boundaries while being polite. But every time, I deleted it. Every time, I felt the same knot in my chest tighten. They didn't understand that family isn't only biology, that the love, care, and shared life I had with my parents and siblings wasn't something that could be balanced by a meeting with strangers who had zero presence in my life. I began avoiding messages altogether. I stopped checking email obsessively. I blocked social media accounts, changed settings, and created filters. I even considered changing my phone number. But they found ways. I started receiving carefully worded letters. Gentle, polite, almost pleading notes slipped through email filters. They sent messages through mutual contacts, asking if I would reconsider, if I would at least respond, even if just to say no again. Every time, it felt like walking through a storm. At night, I would lie awake and imagine what it would be like to meet them. I pictured their faces, their lives, and their children. But the thought never sparked curiosity or excitement. It only amplified the comfort and love I already had. I wanted to protect my life, my family, my stability. I wanted to say, this is enough. I am enough. Yet the pressure mounted. The messages became more strategic, more manipulative. "You're missing out on your birth heritage," one email said. "You're denying your children the chance to know their cousins." Another message, carefully crafted, appealed to empathy. "Would you want someone to deny your children a chance to know you if the roles were reversed?" I could feel the trap closing. They were painting me as the villain, the unfeeling one, the selfish adoptee who didn't want to connect with family. And worse, I could feel some internal shame creeping in. Was it wrong to block people who were technically my siblings? Was I being heartless? One night, after another long day of ignoring messages, I sat down with my wife. I poured my heart out, explaining the emails, the pressure, the guilt, and the sense of invasion. I told her that, despite everything, I had no desire to meet these people. I didn't even know if I could. She listened silently, holding my hand. "You don't owe them anything," she said softly. "You have a life, a family, a home. That's your reality. You are not cruel for protecting it. You are not selfish for saying no." Her words offered some relief, but the battle wasn't over. I knew they would continue to reach out. I knew the emotional manipulation would not stop. And I realized, with a sinking feeling, that this wasn't just about a meeting or a connection. This was about control, about making me feel guilty for living the life I already have. I felt like I was walking a tightrope, every day, balancing between the love I had and the pressure being applied, between empathy and self-preservation, between guilt and the need for boundaries. The messages kept coming, relentless and carefully crafted to tug at my emotions. Every time I thought I had finally closed the door, another email would arrive, gentle, insistent, persuasive, asking me to reconsider. Some were from the children, some from my birth parents themselves. They knew exactly how to frame it. Curiosity, love, potential loss, guilt. One Saturday morning, I opened an email that made my chest tighten so much I could barely breathe. The subject line read, "Your choice affects all of us. Please respond." The message outlined how my refusal to meet them had caused disappointment, sadness, and confusion for everyone involved. Their children were heartbroken. My birth parents were desperate. And the email concluded with the line that would haunt me for days. "We just want you to know your family, your blood, your history. Can you deny us that?" I felt a surge of anger. My blood? My history? They were strangers. People who had zero presence in my life, who had ignored me for years, were now trying to lay claim to me through guilt. I had had enough. I refused to let them dictate my life. I refused to let guilt and emotional manipulation invade the world I had carefully built. I drafted a message, one final message, that would be the last I ever sent. "I understand your desire to meet me. I also understand your curiosity and longing. But I have a life, a family, and responsibilities that are my priority. I do not wish to meet you. I do not owe you anything beyond common courtesy. Please respect my choice and cease contacting me. This is my final decision." I sent it. Then I blocked all email addresses, social media accounts, and even requested extra privacy measures. I set up filters and alerts to catch any further attempts to reach me. I made it clear, no more. The relief was immediate but fragile. I knew they could try other ways, private investigators, mutual contacts, even legal routes. But for now, I felt a sense of control I hadn't felt in months. I sat with my wife that night, holding her hand tightly. "It's done," I said. "I can't live my life constantly apologizing for existing in the family I already have." She smiled. "You did the right thing. You protected us, protected your children, and protected yourself. That's all that matters." For the first time in months, I could breathe. I realized the weight I had been carrying, guilt, pressure, obligation, was entirely theirs, not mine. I didn't owe them a relationship. I didn't owe them acknowledgement beyond the truth. I am happy where I am, and I will not compromise that for strangers who claim biological ties. Looking back, the experience taught me more than I could have imagined about family, loyalty, and boundaries. Here's what I learned. Family is not just biology. Love, care, presence, and shared life define family far more than DNA. Boundaries are essential. No one, not even your birth parents, gets to impose themselves on your life if you do not invite them. Guilt is a tool. They tried to manipulate me with guilt, with moral obligations, with appeals to curiosity and connection. But guilt does not equate to obligation. You are allowed to choose. I chose my adoptive family, my life, and my peace over curiosity and obligation. That choice was valid, necessary, and right. Support matters. My wife, my parents, my siblings, their unwavering support reminded me why I could stand my ground. Without them, I might have wavered. I have made my peace. I am happy. I love my life, my children, my spouse, and my family. And while they may never understand my choice, I understand it. I chose stability, love, and a life built on years of nurturing, not on guilt or uninvited claims. The emails have stopped for now, and if they resume, I know exactly where I stand. I am not guilty for living my life the way I choose. I am not selfish for saying no. I am not heartless for refusing to be manipulated. And most importantly, I am exactly where I am supposed to be, surrounded by people who truly love me. And that's the story. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Until next time.